So this is a pretzel, I mean a PTO shaft that I made look like a pretzel. We're gonna get it fixed today, get the tiller going, and I'm gonna show you the fix that I'm going to make so that this never happens again, I can guarantee it. And we do a bunch of other stuff too. Probably shortening the PTO shaft. Why? Let me show you. Thanks for being with us. Well, here's the why we are probably going to shorten the PTO shaft. A number of these different models and makes on the market today. Quick Hitch is a little bit different design than these. I kind of prefer these. This is the SFI quick PTO hookup. I'm tired of fooling with it, honestly. I mean, it's almost as if it's designed to cut up your hands with the PTO shaft cover and what have you, and doing it in the field's a pain in the neck. This is gonna make it a lot simpler. Let me show you how we're gonna do this. All right, so the manufacturer wants you to leave this fully assembled as you hook it up to the tractor. And it's got a button right here that a lot of you are familiar with. Usually it's a collar or a button to lock it onto the PTO shaft. So what they want us to do is to get it started on the shaft. There, it's started. Push the button, excuse me, it's the best angle I can give you guys, until you hear that snap. So now it's locked. Then, and this is just the initial installation. You're not gonna have to do that because that's gonna stay on the tractor basically in perpetuity. So then we're gonna take the other half off and I'll show you what we're gonna do with it. Okay, so here is the male half. And all you're gonna do is put this in. You're gonna pull the collar back just like you would if you were hooking the PTO up normally. Once this is in and locked in place, you then leave it. It's just that simple. You're not having to try to spin the implement to get it to line up. You're not trying to pull that collar back, all working in the confines within the PTO shield. This is just absolutely makes sense. And also the reason why we're probably gonna have to cut the PTO shaft as well. We're gonna find that out right now. So I'm all about making things as easy as possible. Throughout this process, we're gonna be separating and reconnecting the PTO shaft. And as you know, there's only one way these will go on. So what I've done is taken this white pen marker and just marked on each half, so I'm not having to constantly spin the PTO shaft. All right, I can already tell by looking at it, by the length of this PTO shaft versus the length of the original that came with the Frontier tiller, that we're gonna be cutting it. In order to do that, what you're gonna need a grinder or something to cut the plastic shield and the PTO shaft. Remember this is critical. We're gonna get a dimension that we need to shorten this shaft by after we go through a certain process. You cannot shorten one half of the shaft, you have to shorten both halves of the shaft. Think about it, a little bit of a brain teaser there, why it won't work. You're also gonna need something to measure with. Some type of blue, I like to use this blue painter's tape. You're gonna need a 30mm socket, you're gonna need a 20mm socket, and a 30mm wrench. Why the 30mm? Well, let me show you, and let me show you how I'm gonna fix this so that it's never going to happen again. So just like most of you guys do, I had a pin with a bushing cotter pin. I think it was a hitch pin, I can't remember. And again, go back a couple videos if you want to see exactly how this happened. I had it right on camera because I had a rear shooting camera, and you could see that cotter pin came out, that the bushing and the pin had worked themselves out, and that's what ended up causing the damage. My question is this: when would you ever have to take that pin off? I mean, I guess if you're only want to buy one bushing and you're switching it between implements, I don't know. Other than that, there should be no reason to ever take this pin out, So why do you want it just secured with the cotter pins? All right, so what we did is went out and got this bolt. This is not the right size bushing. I'm going to be changing the bushing out. And a compression nut. This is not coming out. Okay, so, you know, what's the old saying, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. I'm not gonna just put this thing back together the way it was. I'm gonna use this instead. It's never coming off. Okay, it is the next day. I don't know about you guys, but I kind of have this policy I try to stick to. When I get aggravated, time to quit for the day. Yeah, I did not cut the PTO shaft long enough. I got to take another inch off. I'm in the process of doing that. Not a bad thing though, because I wanted to show you the type of connection that I have here versus the push button. Some PTOs have just a push button. This actually has a bolt that goes through, nuts on the other end. And you've got to be able to find the grooves in the male part of the PTO shaft so that it locks in. So I've already got one PTO shaft in its cover. Actually, I've got two covers cut correctly and one shaft. I need to cut this shaft down. The only cutoff blade I have is kind of dull, so it's taking a lot longer than I wanted to, but I'll get it done. And then when we hook this thing up, I'll show you how to do that. So let's get back to work and not aggravated, right? Not aggravated. Everything's calm. Everything's good. Yeah. All right, the first thing I want to show you is this. So here is your groove that's cut around the PTO. Next, if you look at the clutch plate and the mount, you'll see you've got a hole here and a hole here. What you've got to do is align these holes, because as I mentioned before, there is a bolt that goes through, like so, that's supposed to cradle in this notch. Otherwise, you're not hooked up properly. So I'm gonna slide it on in here. I'm gonna go off camera on this, because what you've gotta do is take a flashlight and go back and forth until that bolt slides in easily. So I'll do that now. Okay, well, the shaft, for the most part, is done. So if you remember, I took this piece off. Just made it so much easier to work behind the slip clutch, and it's just not a big deal. It's 8 bolts. So we're gonna buzz those back on, and then we're gonna check our work. We're gonna get it hooked up to the tractor and see how we did. So again, all we did is put these holes through, these little knobs through, and now we're going to just lock it on with a hitch pin, and that's all there is to it.